Okay, today's module 4, lesson 30. We're starting to come into the home stretch, wrap up module 4, finish it up in the next couple of days. What's nice about today's lesson is it's a little marriage between two lessons that we've already done. And we even had a little sneak peek of this lesson before the state tests. But we're also going to take it to the next level today. And I like this lesson a lot. Pretty straightforward, not a lot of reading. Okay? Okay. So let's just quickly review different types of angles. Everybody should be on page 141. Date on top of the page. All right, so an acute angle, it's so tiny, it's so cute. So an acute angle is less than 90 degrees. An obtuse angle is slightly bigger than 90 degrees, anywhere to slightly smaller than 180 degrees. So it does not equal 90, it does not equal 180. It's between the two. All right? A right angle is exactly 90 degrees. So that's why I said an obtuse angle is slightly like 90 or larger, and acute is slightly less. So a right angle is when it's exactly 90 degrees. And you'll know it's a right angle because sometimes they'll square off the corner. I don't like saying corner, that actually hurt me a little bit. Does anybody know what that corner of an angle is called? Wow. All right, let's see who's going to impress me. Nice. Where the two rays meet is called the vertex. So very often the vertex of a right angle will be squared off like that, so that you know it's not 89 degrees or 91 degrees, that it's a right angle. A straight angle is exactly 180 degrees. Now this last angle is if we took it, a lot of people want to say that's an acute angle. A lot of people want to say that this bottom one is an acute angle. If you look at this angle here that's red, that part is an acute angle. But if we look at it as if we opened it to a straight line and then kept going, almost like if you had a spiral notebook and you take the cover off your spiral notebook and you flip it open like your binders right now, your binders were closed. So your binders were closed as an acute angle. Then you opened your binder, and now they're a straight angle because they're 180 degrees. If you picked up your binder, the cover would drop down just like AJ is doing. Now it's at a reflex angle because it opened past that straight angle and kept going. So now, exactly, John, that's now a reflex angle. But I wouldn't really recommend doing it because you might rip your binders, and then just got to keep these binders together for a couple more weeks. No parents wants to go spend another $8 on a binder for a couple weeks of school. So I think a better way to write the reflex is that the measure of the angle has to be greater than 180 degrees, but it also has to be less than 360 degrees. We don't want it to equal those two numbers. So less than or greater than those two measurements. All right, so now let's take a look at this picture of some angles here. This should look a little familiar because we did review this quickly before the state tests. So do you see this symbol here? Kind of looks like a collapsed L, or I don't know, whatever it looks like. That means angle. When I was in school, and I'm sure Mrs. Bernstein and Mrs. Whalen, they learned how to write angle like that. So if I write that symbol, that's just old habits dying hard. So that symbol means angle, and this symbol here means angle. So here, angle ABC. So here's my A, my B, and my C. So angle ABC measures 90 degrees. And I also knew that because the vertex is squared off. The angle has been separated into two angles. So if we look at this ray BD, it cut our angle and made two angles. So if one angle measures 57 degrees, what is the measure of the other angle? So first of all, how are these two angles related? Now, who's going to really knock my socks off? Good thing I just put socks on so they can knock them off. What is that called when two angles put together equal 90 degrees? We did it for like 2 seconds. Is that just last week? Wow. That was just last week. You know, that's a very pretty skirt. And I really like your top. I told you that before. And you're always styling. You're always dressed very handsome. And you look adorable in that hat. I could never pull that hat off. But you look adorable. Well, you're handsome as well. It's a nice sweater. So when you compliment somebody, that's the right thing to do. Yes. This is all day complimentary angle. Did I spell that correctly? E-I, complimentary? Compliment, yeah. Okay. So when you see it wrong, complementary angles. That's because they equal 90 degrees. Remember, to complement somebody, it's an E? It is an E. Complementary. It's the right thing to do. To compliment somebody is the right thing to do. So how could I write an equation to find out what x is? I know that if I add the two together, it equals 90 degrees. So how can I write an equation adding those two together to equal 90 degrees? You're already into solving. I just want an equation first. Remember with the algebraic equation, we like the variable in the math part, not in the answer part. You're not wrong, but there's a righter way.
You do 90 minus 57.
Well, that's kind of what he said.
Variables extra.
Yep.
So x plus 57.
Right, if I add the two angles together, it equals 90 degrees. If I add the two angles together, it equals 90 degrees. If you wanted to work left to right and say 57 plus x equals 90, that's probably what I would have done, but it doesn't matter. Addition is commutative. It's fine. Now, how am I going to solve that algebraically? I don't want to know what x plus 57 is. I just want the x. I want that identity. What did we learn back in lesson 1? What did we learn in algebra last week?
X plus 57 minus 57 equals 90 minus 57.
What is that called? What did he just do?
You found the identity.
He did. We're going to find the identity of x by doing the
First operation.
fabulous. Impressed, impressed, impressed. Well done, everybody. So those, if you want to say, cancel each other out, leaving me with just x on the left side. And go to your margin, do the computation, do the subtraction. What'd you get? 33 what? Cookies? Degrees. Did we answer the question? Is 33 degrees the answer to the question? Yes. So if we wanted to get really fancy, we could say angle DBC equals 33 degrees. Who has a question? Where did the 57 come from? Where did the 90 come from? Where did the 33 come from? Yeah.
Where does it get
X is in here from DBC. Just kicking it up a notch. Just teach you what it's really called. You can handle it, especially you. All right. Now let's take a look. Michelle is designing a parking lot in my free time. I design parking lots. You didn't know that. I do. I decided that one of the angles should be 115 degrees. what is the measure of angle X and angle Y? So first let's start with how is angle X related to the 115 degree angle? So when I put those two angles together, what did they form? What did they form? A straight angle or straight line. Anybody remember what that's called? When two angles are added together to equal 180 degrees straight line. Those are intersecting lines, but that's not what the two angles are called. The straight, when they make a straight, it starts with an S and a U. Oh, one more try.
Supplementary angle.
I'm officially impressed. Did I spell that correctly? I think I spelled that one wrong. What's wrong with my spelling today? All right, so supplementary, they add to 180 degrees. And remember I said that the H kind of looks like an S. Supplementary, straight line, and a complement is the right thing to do. All right, so now how would I write an equation for this one? Angle X and angle 115 equals 180. So how would I write that? How would you take what I just said and put them into words? Let's make it an obstacle course. Well, not x plus y. Right. X plus 115 equals 180 degrees. Who has a question where one of those things came from? Or where we wrote it?
Why didn't you use y?
Because right now we're just solving for x. And right now, just the x and the 115 formed that straight line. Okay, so we're not even looking at that up here. I'm just looking at the x first. Okay? No, because all three, that would be a reflexive angle if I tried to add all three. And I would need to know the sum of all three, and I don't know, here, let me make it red, the reflexive angle. I don't know what that is. If I knew what that reflexive was, then I could do x plus 115 plus y equals whatever that is. But I don't know what it is, so I wouldn't be able to solve it. Right now, we're just focusing on x plus 115 forming that straight line. How do I solve that? How have we been solving it algebraically? Good. So go ahead, go to your margin, do the computation. All right, so what is it?
65.
Agree or disagree? 65 what? Yes, 65 cookies for me? Dollars?
Oreos.
Degrees. Oh, I wish it was Oreos. That right now.
Find your glasses.
So, nope. All right, so now we have to find out. We're not done. We want to think we're done, but we're not. We're going to go back and see what the question's asking. We still need to find what angle Y is. So 115 and Y make a different straight line. So what is the sum? What is Y equal?
Y equals.
It also equals 65 degrees. This is not something you need to know for right now, but X and Y in the picture, they share a vertex and they're opposite of each other. Those are called vertical angles, but that's not something you need to know. I'm just throwing it out there to look smart. I know what that's called. No? Nothing? Not impressed? Come on. All right. So vertical angles are equal to each other. But we were able to solve it because we saw that 115 plus y were also supplementary angles. Okay? Okay? Okay. Aside from a clown nose, I don't know how to make this more. Alright, a beam of light is reflected off of a mirror. Below is a diagram of the reflected beam. So let's determine the measure of this missing angle x. Well, now I see three angles that form what kind of a line? A straight line. So those three angles that form a straight line are called supplementary angles. So since they're supplementary angles that form a straight line, when I add them together, they will equal 180 degrees. So how are they related? We'll call them supplementary. So they all equal 180 degrees. So if I add them all together, how would I write my equation?
It would be 55 plus 55 plus x equals 180.
Now, I like to go in order left to right so I don't leave any out. But the way you said it is correct also because addition is commutative.
And also, how would the light be able to do it? If it hit the mirror straight on, it would just go right back up.
But it's not straight on. It's at a 55-degree angle, so it reflects off in a 55-degree angle. Okay? So now let's solve it algebraically. What's my first step going to be to solve this algebraically? I can't do inverse operation yet. What do I need to do first? What do you think I should do first?
Add 2.
Yeah. Let's combine like terms. Let's combine our two constants, our two whole numbers. So 55 plus 55 is 110 plus x equals 180. Now I can do my inverse operation. So x equals 70 degrees. All right, moving right along. I like this one. Here's another wedding here. We're going to marry 2 more lessons here. You ready? Way back, Module 1. Marrying up here, Module 4, Lesson 30. You ready? Let's do this. So, angle ABC measures 90 degrees. So here's my A, my B, my C measures 90 degrees. Okay, it's been split into two angles, ABD and DBC. Does everybody see that? So ABD is here, and DBC is here. So far, so good? The measure of the two angles is in a ratio of 2 to 1. What are the measures of each angle? So does that mean this is 2 degrees and that's 1 degree? For a total of 3 degrees? No, not at all. Do I know the measure of either angle? Do I know the measure of either angle to get started with? Well, the other ones, they told me one of the angles. I don't know what either angle is. What do we use when we don't know the number? What do we use to represent the number when we don't know what the number is? We can use what instead of a number? What can we use? A variable. So, if that was x in my ratio of 2 to 1, if that was just 1x, what would the other one be?
It would be 2x.
2x. Is that in a ratio of 2 to 1?
Yes.
So for every 1x, I have 2 x's. All right, who wants to press pause and ask a question? Where'd you get the x? Where'd you get the 2x?
How am I going to solve it if we don't know what x is?
I'm going to press pause on your question and ask her a question before we move ahead on how to solve it. I want to answer questions on how we set it up.
If you do like 2x,
Well, I knew that it was in a ratio of 2 to 1. So if that was an x, because I don't know how many degrees it is, so I'm just going to call it x. So I know the other one is going to be twice that, because that was my ratio of 2 to 1.
Why don't instead of getting like 2x, you put 90 because that's the degree of angle?
So both of them put together will equal 90 degrees because those are complementary angles. We were told over here that the whole thing equals 90. So how did we solve it back in our very first example? I had my two angles. I added my two angles together and it equaled, I'm answering your question now. I took my two angles and added them together and they equaled. So can we do that here? Can I take my two angles, add them together to equal 90? So 2x plus x equals 90 degrees. Now I'm going to combine my like terms. So I have a total of 3 x's that equal 90 degrees. But I don't want to know what 3 x's are. If 3 x's are 90 degrees, I'm going to take my 3 x's, divide it by 3. So that way I could figure out what just 1 x is. So now I have to take my 90 and divide it by 3. Inverse operation, if that's being multiplied by 3, I now have to divide both sides by 3. Please copy your notes. So what does x equal? 30 degrees. Am I done? Did we answer the question? What? I didn't answer the question? What do I have to do now?
You have to find out the measure of the other angle.
Right, we have to find out. So DBC equals 30 degrees because that was x. But angle ABD was 2x. So if x is 30, ABD equals 60 degrees. Does that make sense? Does 30 plus 60 equal our 90 degree right angle? Yeah. All right, let's try another one. Solve for x. Try this one on your own. Those 3 angles added together will equal 180 degrees. So my 3 angles added together equal 180 degrees. Then I can combine like terms. So 101 plus x equals 180. 101 plus x minus 101. So what does x equal?
79 degrees.
Right. And did that answer our question? Is that what we're looking for? Yes, that's what we're looking for. All right. Candace is building a rectangular piece of fence according to the plans her boss gave her. One of the angles is not labeled. Figures, right? More work for us. Write an equation and use it to determine the measure of the unknown angle. So those 2 angles, 49 and x, are called what? Complementary, because to complement someone is the right thing to do. So guys, set up your equation and solve it. All right, so 49 plus x equals 90. 49 plus x minus 49 equals 90 minus 49. So x equals, whoops, 41 degrees. You could always check these by plugging x back in and solving. You can always check these to make sure that they work. Let's try one more. How many of you play knock hockey or air hockey? You got to try to bank that in right around. Well, Rashid hit a hockey puck against the wall at 38-degree angle. The puck hit the wall and traveled in a new direction. Determine the missing angle in the diagram. So those three angles put together form a straight line or straight angle. So those three angles are supplementary, so they equal 180. So set those three angles equal to 180. Combine like terms. And what we get? 104 degrees. If you're not sure if it's right, you could always do a check by rewriting your equation, plugging it in, and solving to make sure that it's a true statement.